Pratik, please run the presentation, run the video.
कार्ड वाला प्लाई लाया हूँ घर। अब फर्नीचर बनाने में लंबा टप। ऊपर के खतरे का टेंशन को अंदर के खतरे से बचाएगा कौन? अंदर का खतरा अधिकतर प्लाईवुड से फॉर्मुलिन गैस का एमिशन होता है, जो सेहत के लिए हानिकारक है। फर्नीचर बनाने सिर्फ ग्रीन प्लाई से लाया है इंडिया का पहला जीरो एमिशन प्लाई। जीरो चुनो, खुल के सांस लो। Every living being needs a home, be it a hole in the wall or one with a swimming pool, be it on a high-rise or in the basement, be it a studio apartment or a grand piece of architecture, be it with a sky roof or one with an ocean view. Be it a cabin in the mountains or a shack beside the sea. Every living being needs a home, because only a home makes the world feel safer. This Environment Day, renewing our commitment to keep all homes safe, clean and green, and abundant with fresh oxygen.
You can start then, Raz.
Okay, right. So we would like to start with thanking our sponsors who made this event possible. So we would like to thank our platinum supporters, Somani Plywood, GreenPro Plywood, JSW Cement, Tata Steel. So and also our associate sponsors, Nippon Paint, USG Boral, Pure Chemicals. So without their support, this event may not be possible. So we thank them for supporting us throughout the journey. So we welcome you all to the panel discussion on eco-labeled products and technologies for green buildings and green companies. So we have a set of eminent speakers across the world. We have speakers from Russia, and we have eminent speakers from JSW, ABFRL, and also we have a wonderful moderator who has more than three decades of experience in cement sector. So now I would like to invite Mr. K.N. Rao. Is the one who doesn't need any introduction in cement sector for his immense contribution to the cement sector. He is the expert on energy and environmental sector. So he holds various positions during his tenure with the ACC Limited. So he is a postgraduate chemical engineer from IIT Madras in 1982 batch, and having more than 39 years of experience in the area of energy, environment, and sustainability. Strategy development. His expertise includes environment management, design of air pollution control system for all critically polluting industries notified by Government of India. And he is also expert in climate change, mitigation projects implementation. See, it requires minimum 4 to 5 minutes to give an entire brief about his contribution to this sector. But I would like to restrict within 1 or 2 minutes. So to highlight only the major contribution he has done towards environmental sustainability. His expertise includes energy sourcing cost reduction, energy intensity reduction, renewable energy, waste heat recovery projects implementation, deployment of alternative fuels in place of fossil fuels to reduce the GHG footprint, alternative raw materials to conserve virgin material resources, And also he's a sustainability expert, includes corporate sustainability, strategy development, and implementing key sustainability initiatives like carbon neutral, water positive, biodiversity, plastic and waste positive, and zero harm initiatives. So he is also actively involved in national level capacity building and policy advocacy in the area of energy, renewable energy and environment, GHG mitigation, waste management, circular economy, and air pollution control measures through various industry bodies like CII, BCCI, FIGI, IMC, PHT, Chamber of Commerce, WCSD, GCCA, with the state and the central regulators. So now I would like to invite Mr. K.N. Rao to moderate the session. So this is a wonderful session. We have a panel of eminent speakers as well as a great moderator. Looking forward to the session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dhanraj. Thank you for your introduction. And I'd like to introduce the panel discussion, all the speakers who joined this particular session. And so first I would like to introduce Mrs. Yulia Gravechev. So she's the director and head of Central Certifying Body of Ecological Union. So she's actually the owner and operator of a voluntary type eco labeling vitality leaf based in the life cycle. I think that's something which is very relevant for us in the discussion. She holds a doctorate in biology and have authored several scientific biological papers. She is a global eco labeling network board member and also auditor of certification bodies in the framework of the International Program on Mutual Recognition of Eco Label Genesis. Mrs. Gravechev, she is the board member of the Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Committee of the Consumer Information for Sustainable Production of and Consumption of Then One Planet Work Program. And she's also a certified specialist in the Swedish Institute of Management Program for Responsible Leadership and Sustainable Business. Welcome, Mrs. Yulia.
Hello, everybody.
And I'd like to introduce Mr. Prabodh Acharya. Prabodh Acharya, I don't need any introduction. I think he's a well-known figure in the entire country. He's the Chief Sustainability Officer of JSW Group. And Acharya partners with the CEOs and executives and operation heads to develop and drive the sustainability strategy for the JSW Group of companies, both the steel, energy, and cement, paint, and infrastructure. He's a postgraduate in environmental engineering. He has worked nearly 3 decades in the field of corporate environment management, emission reduction, climate change, and corporate strategy for sustainability and policy development. So he started his career with the SAIL, and subsequently he has moved to that is his experiences in iron and steel. Later he managed climate change and sustainability and customer assurance services for the South Asia Flights Register. Okay, and then he worked with the senior vice president for Aditya Birla Group and sustainability before he joined into the JSW. So welcome, Mr. Prabodh Acharya. So we have the next speaker, next panel member is Dr. Velan. He's a city head in Chennai operations and pan-India head for property management, Ascendas India, the capital. Dr. Velan is working as a city head and a Singapore-based organization involved in the IT and the industrial park establishments. Earlier, he was working in the Tata Realty Infrastructure Limited as a CEO for a TRIL flagship project, Ramanujan IT City in Chennai, successfully established as one of the most happening IT projects in India. Graduated in civil engineering and structural engineering in the post-graduation in business administration as well as the ecology and environment. He has a doctorate in civil engineering and for the research work mainly focused on the areas which based on the need of the hour. Subject is sustainable design of green buildings. And Dr. Velan has more than 30 years of corporate experience with blue chip Indian and overseas companies, including Eicher Motors and ColorChem, Richard Ellis and SNOs. So welcome, Dr. Velan. And the fourth panelist is Dr. Naresh Tyagi, Sustainability Officer of Aditya Fashion and Retail Limited. He's having more than 2 decades of diversified experience in apparel and textile sector across the value chain. He has worked in on various leadership positions and varied areas of expertise of manufacturing, retail operations, quality assurance, and R&D. And it's the sustainability initiatives under the aegis of Re-Earth movement or movement at ABFRL. He holds a doctorate in chemistry and has completed his advanced management program from UC Berkeley, and he has been instrumental in making the innovation and sustainability an integral part of the business operation and paving the way to make the AFRL to greater heights. They're passionate about promoting innovation and competitiveness in this sector. He is instrumental in establishing some of the cutting-edge concepts of product technology, know-how, knowledge center, and product lifecycle management, and green channel partnership, and index. And he has received many accolades at the national level, and including the Sustainability Professional of the Year Award from the Global Sustainability Leadership Awards. And so there are many awards he has won. I'm very sure that he's going to win some more awards. So thank you, Mr. Naresh Sagi. And so let us start the discussion. I think one of the speakers today was supposed to join us, Mr. Ramnath Vaidyanathan from Godrej Industries, could not join because of the some family medical urgency. So we'll have the discussion today with the 4 speakers. So let us start with the discussion. Mrs. Yulia, and first we'd like them to themselves for a couple of minutes, and then we will actually go to the question answer. Mrs. Yulia, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, dear colleagues. I am glad to be here at this conference, and I am the representative of the Russian eco-label, which is called Vitality Leaf, and we are the global eco-labeling network members, along with the Indian GreenPro eco-label. And I myself has been in this topic for more than 15 years, developing standards and procedures for certification, and also trying to find the most effective ways how to raise awareness about the eco-label among business and consumers in Russia. So we are dealing in several directions in Russia. We are the NGO, and I will be happy to share my experience with you and to share several cases of the successful use of eco-label by Russian business and companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Prabodh Acharya. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rao, and good afternoon to all the listeners. So I understand, Mr. Rao, you want opening statement now. Yeah, okay.
I want you to introduce yourself. I gave some brief about each speaker, but I want you to tell about yourself.
I think you are already kind enough to give me a detailed description about myself. My name is Prabodh Acharya. Please feel free to call me Prabodh. I am driving sustainability strategy across the JSW group right now. So my objective is that every business decisions which is taken should embed sustainability in it while taking a decision. That's my objective. I like to see that we are operating the most sustainable business practices in all our business. And as you know, we are into heavy industries, and we'll be in spotlight on what we are doing. So I want to be in spotlight, our businesses to be in spotlight for good reasons.
Yeah. Thank you. Dr. Velan?
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really nice to get connected with all the attendees of this conference. I'm sorry, I'm a bit informal and with the mask. Yes, I'm in the site for an inspection. I just stepped out and taking this time. Okay, I nicely introduced Mr. Narendra Rao. It was really, great of you to be that much elaborative introduction. Quickly, I put it. See, basically, even though I'm a projects and operations person, predominantly my focus started with the sustainability for the last 13 years, actually. In fact, I'm also part of the IGBC. and worked with the Tata Realty, now currently with the CapitaLand, that is Ascendus Singapore Group. So the main focus of our group actually is that to be more focused in two aspects, because I am from the developer side, so I will be talking mostly on the developer angle and the end users angle. So I will talk little later about my core subject, what I want to discuss. My background is with civil engineering background with environment and sustainability. That's where I introduce myself now, and I'll come back later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you. Dr. Naresh, thank you. Dr. Naresh.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rao. You have already introduced, but let me also try to give. I'm Naresh Tyagi. I've been working in various industries in last 3 decades. Last 2.5 decades, primarily I'm in that textile, apparel, and retail. I have worked in South Asia in many companies. For last 14 years, I'm working in Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail. This is one of the largest retail company in India. We have 14-15 brand in India. Louis Philippe, Alan Solly, Peter England, Pantaloon, so and so. And having that large gamut of brand, we sell every second theory garment in India. So how to have that, one side is that orientation on sustainable product to the consumer, because we touch so many consumer every day. And the other side is that whole value chain, how you bring ability to sustain, not only for growth or economy, but balancing it rightly for positive impact on society and on environment. Though it's long journey, but in last 1 decade, we have made good progress and we are able to embed sustainability is not peripheral thing. It's part of our business DNA. And that has become kind of a good pride moment for us, the way we manage it within the business, and happy to share some of the.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we get into the panel discussion, I would like to set the context that all of you agree that the green label is not a, right now the eco labels are at voluntary standard. It's not come out from the government of India. It is basically a voluntary standard. I think all of you are familiar about the GreenPro standard, which has come out by CAI, and there are almost 2,000 products of Indian products have been actually certified as a GreenPro. Now, the elements which gets into the assessment is also, people are familiar, resource efficiency, climate change, in terms of water and emissions, health and safety. The many elements which have been brought into the part of the product labeling has been actually, everyone is familiar, because people are the leaders in terms of, I think both JSW and ABFRL has got the GreenPro certification for their products, and also we have international organization to share their experience in the global stage in terms of the eco labeling. And the steel industry, many cement, steel plant and cement products have been actually labeled from JSW. So and we also have a developer who has actually used GreenPro materials in the infrastructure projects what they have built. So this is an ideal forum where we have a diversity of the speakers. And most of the, I think all of you agree that the resource efficiency is very relevant for the India, because of and we are we have very less area with respect to the population what we have, and also we're going to be a rapidly growing country for the next 3-4 decades. So in the process, that the GHG emissions, water, resource efficiency are very, very vital elements to us. So I'd like before we go into the detailed discussion on all the aspects of it, I wanted to first ask to all of you, does green products makes any business sense? I think you wanted everyone to react. Does green product makes a business sense? Especially green product and a label product. Does it make a business sense? Starting with Mrs. Yulia, you can actually start your opinion on this particular topic, whether it makes a business sense.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I have a simple answer on this question. Of course, yes, eco-label has the business sense. And I like the tool of eco-labeling very much, because in my perception, This is the excellent tool which can join environmental benefits with business benefits for companies, for consumers, and for the government. And I can just give you several examples how the companies benefit from Ecolabel. And we did have the survey among our licensed companies. And we have licenses in several categories. These are building and finishing products, and also household chemistry. So many of our licensees tell that they get many benefits, and these benefits can be, for example, the separation from competitors in the market, avoiding greenwashing, raising their green image in the face of the partners and clients. And also they have raisings of sales of the eco-labeled products. And for example, we had the paint company who was eco-labeled 2 years ago. And they reported to us that they have raised their sales for B2B sector up to 30%. And another painting company, which is more acting through the DIY retail chain, they reported that they have raised their sales from 18 till 65% in different categories of eco-labeled products. And of course, I'm very happy that we have here the representatives of retail, and we like to work with retail too. And I think this is the great force, which also acts in Russia very well, because retailers can give their requirements for suppliers. And then they get on their shelves those products which are eco-labeled. And here I can give you also one example. We have the greatest DIY retail chain, Leroy Merlin, in Russia. And 2 years ago, they started the tender for companies who will product the paint for the self-trademark of retailer. And the requirement was that this paint should be eco-labeled. So only those companies who has passed the certification procedure, and this was the requirement for only eco-label type 1 through the life cycle certification. So only those of them could get this contract and produce the paint for the retailer. And there were about 10 companies from different parts of Russia who participated and won this tender. And now we have such numbers that the share of eco-labeled paint in this retailer has raised up to 17% in the market.
It's remarkable.
Yeah. And just the last thing that I wanted also to share with you is that, of course, the business success also is measured by the awareness of eco-label among consumers. And also we have the numbers of independent research in Russia that 7% of people from all the country know the eco-label. Of course, it is not the 90% when we talk about Nordic Swan or Blue Angel in Germany, for example. But just as in India, you know, Russia has very huge population, and even 7% in absolute numbers is a good number. So the popularity of label among consumers, of course, affects the business very much, and can lead to a good business success and raising of sales. So these are my cases. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Prabodh Acharya, so your views on does the green makes business sense, and especially for eco-label products, both steel, cement, and also you also on the energy and also in the other product lines. I think you can mention about in each product business line, what is the value addition to this by eco-label?
Thank you very much for the question, Dr. Rao. And I take this opportunity before answering the questions to give opening views and statement on The theme of today's discussion is eco-label products and technology for green building and companies. So I take a couple of minutes to give you a broader perspective so that you get the reference. So, I mean, as you see, the world's population approaches around 10 billion. The global building stock is expected to double in size, and that is going to lead to the consumption of vast amount of natural resources that you stated in the beginning, Dr. Rao, that will contribute to an expected doubling of total global consumption of raw material by 2050, by the middle of the century.
Yeah.
Now, carbon emissions are released not only during operational life, but also during the manufacturing, transportation, construction, and end of the life phases for all built assets that we know. So that includes building and infrastructures. So these emissions, commonly what we call is that embodied carbon, have largely been overlooked historically, if you see, but has contributed around 11% of all global carbon emissions. So carbon emission released before the building or infrastructure begin will be responsible for half of the entire carbon footprint of new construction between now and 2050. And that is pretty important to address the climate change issue what we discussed. I will come to the sector where we are prevalent, that is steel and cement. These are the two sectors I'll take, which is most important source for material related emission in the construction. Now, steel industry accounts almost 7 to 9% of total global emissions, of which half can be attributed to building and construction materials, which goes to there. So therefore, it is very essential for the heavy industries to decarbonize their products to help reduce the environmental footprint in the building industry. So it is also important to educate and bring awareness among the consumer on the benefit of greener products, and that's where the importance of eco-labeling and GreenPro is coming. So therefore, eco-labeling provides us a very good opportunity for companies like us to demonstrate that our actions towards greener product, and for consumers to validate the claims of the companies what we are making, instead of becoming another greenwashing to the consumers. So a credible mechanism which will help by the declaration. Now look, in the Indian context, if you look at demand from building and construction segment, that is accounting almost 35 to 40% of steel demand currently. And that is expected to rise at a rate of 5 to 6% in next 5 years. And that is where TMT rebar is one of the most widely used steel product in the construction sector for building reinforcement. And that's the reason, if you see JSW Steel, Neo Steel, that TMT rebar, we got GreenPro certified recently. And the current demand, if you look at in the next market, it is stand around 28 million ton per annum, and it is expected to grow by 10%. So that is where the GreenPro eco-labeling encourages industries to take a life cycle approach in assessing the environmental footprint. So eco-labeling also promotes the use of higher strength TMT products. That's the way you achieve material efficiency and to reduce the material consumption. So it's not only by reducing your emissions, but also by reducing the consumptions. And similarly, Dr. Rao, you are very aware that JSW Cement, which is a pioneer in eco-labeling and green product development, has its eco-label done for composite cement and Portland cement long before, and we emit almost 63% lesser CO2 in comparison to ordinary Portland cement where people are using. And being a pioneer yourself in cement industry, you are pretty aware that JSW Cement has the lowest specific carbon footprint in the cement industry till date, and that has demonstrated our commitment towards a greener product. Now, while we all know the GreenPro is a type 1 eco-labeling, environmental product declaration, which is type 3 eco-labeling, has also its importance in providing the transparency to the customer, and that is by providing the environmental data of a product based on the life cycle, and that can have other benefits like getting some points in LEED and BREEAM certification. So the level of transparency and reporting through EPD allows companies to identify environmental hotspots in their life cycle of product, and therefore we can plan optimum resource decisions to make where I need to focus to reduce my ultimate impact on the product life cycle.
So in terms of the business sense.
And now I'm just one more point let me make, and then I'll come to your question. Now steel is not used only in construction sector, it is also used for mechanical, electrical and domestic appliances. So therefore, in this forum, my appeal will be that we must all work towards developing a standard for GreenPro certifications of steel applications in mechanical, electrical and domestic appliances. And also in the transport sector, which contributes significantly to the emissions. And the auto industry's need for these kind of products that helps in driving greener economy. Now, if you look at with all these pointers, what I wanted to tell that eco-labeling and transparently declaring your environmental footprint to customer has a business case. The business case, when we talk normally, we talk about what is the financial gain we make directly. Is that consumer is ready to give me a premium vis-a-vis a normal product? If that is the question, I think that has not come in India. So Indian consumers are still biased towards purchasing products based on cost sensitivity. Now, and where we want to differentiate is the same cost. Am I giving you a better environmental products for your use? And that is where it makes a business sense. The other business sense makes that we encourage consumers to use less quantity of material to get the same output. So if you're making a building, use high strength steel, GreenPro certified steel, so that your volume of consumption is less. And therefore, ultimately, the pressure on resource conservation and consumption reduces. I hope that answers your question, Dr.
So I fully agree with you. One, the basic issue is that do you get a premium or do you get an increase in sales volumes? You may not get a price premium, but do you get at least the additional volumes are coming in terms of sales volumes?
I would say at this moment, both are not directly related, but what is you differentiate yourself, and that is the extra top up you give. So every customer will like to have something extra. So the extra you are giving is that you are giving an environmentally better, superior product.
Yeah.
And not only you are contributing to the greater cause of resource management and climate change. So as organizations, you do good. You also help the customers in achieving their stated objectives. So hopefully that will drive the volume and the premium, but at the present, if you are asking, I don't think it has come yet in Indian subcontinent.
The third dimension is that does it helping in terms of de-risking in terms of resources, de-risking in terms of climate change, de-risking in terms of water and other resources?
That's what exactly I told. That is the benefit what the progressive organizations who are going proactively to do these things is helping in managing those greater risks which will be apparent in coming days. And
is it helping you to reduce your cost of manufacturing by adapting to the green technology? Does it helping you in terms of reducing your energy intensity? Means you are actually reducing the CO2 footprint and your energy cost.
Absolutely. Indirectly, it gives a business benefit in improving your efficiency in the process. But there are multiple factors which is affecting. It is not only the eco-labeling or GreenPro certification, but it is obviously and definitely that is one of the drivers. It may not be the only driver, but definitely it's one of the driver. And that's the reason what we have decided and why I'm pitching for in this forum for CII to come out with all the standards for all the products. Because we want all our products to follow the specific international standard and get GreenPro certificate. So obviously we see there is a value. We see there is a benefit. And if you look at the entire value chain and entire business, obviously there is a financial benefit also.
Okay, thank you. And coming to Dr. Velan, being a developer, now you've been developing the IT parks. Most probably you might have in the design stage and conceptually of any particular infrastructure project, you might have been conceiving the use of the green materials in the part of the infrastructure building, and in the process, and also subsequently you are also maintaining the asset. So one is the building the asset and then maintaining the asset. What is your perspective in terms of the acceptance of the green labeled products, and does it actually makes a business sense because you are the developer? Do you find any financial benefit getting using these materials?
Thank you very much, Mr. Narendra. Basically, as a developer, we focus on two specific aspects. One, as a business perspective. Second is on the end user's perspective. If you look at it, there are four things which we normally consider. One is the life cycle cost. Second is that, of course, occupants' safe environment, which is occupants' wellness. And the third is that embodied carbon. And if you look at it, as you rightly touched upon that topic, when you are designing the building or constructing the building or post-construction operationalization, all the three phases we get into this kind of CO2 emissions, which is very, very evident in these days, we know. But the green labeling and using of green products and the design focus towards not only the conventional energy alone, but also on the occupants' safety and wellness front, these green products or green labeled products are really playing a major role. There are two types I can put it. One, we are not only looking at as a developer for the financial success. There is other component which is normally we know it, right? Investment rate of return. Likewise, environment rate of return is one focus area which has come in that developers' point of view in the recent past. Without having environmentally suitable or beneficial or return on the environment side, whatever you develop, which has to really not impact the environment or at least come to that net zero level or not impacting much like that. We are designing the buildings in that way. That is one. Second is that the occupants, if you look at it, our business is totally depending on that companies and coming and operate from our campus. There is a high level of serious focus by the end users in today's scenario and post-pandemic. You don't have to say it goes furthermore. The wellness focus of the employees and definitely they are giving more importance to the environment and the safety of the employees. Both together, as a developer, we are now gearing up further, not only going for platinum certification or something like that, usage of green labeled products as maximum as possible. As Pramod Acharya was rightly mentioning, it is a huge impact of during construction of buildings and all. You are impacting the environment in terms of CO2. So our focus is using of this green label products, right? What he was mentioning, 60% reduction in the impact of the cement manufacturing. All those things are really making a major difference in our minds, and we are surely looking at it. Using all the products, right from the equipments, right from the construction materials, right from the operational consumables. All those things are really given importance to green building, green labeled products, and that goes without saying, Mr. Narendra. Not only for the business perspective, but also on the environmental perspective, not only the developers, but the end users are also focusing on. Yes, you are absolutely right. Green labeled products are making a difference, not only on that comfort factor, but also on the business side. Thank you.
What is that you found in terms of the capex cost? For does it, by using green labeled products, does your project cost has increased or it didn't go up? And did it ultimately help you in terms of the reducing the operational cost?
Fantastic question. In fact, that is one of the things which Pramod Acharya was also highlighting. The life cycle cost is a terminology which is playing the major role in selecting of any equipments, any materials, anything we select. So if you look at only the capex, it is a different call. When you're adding up, and that also I can put it in the earlier days. Of course, we used to import, we used to do a lot of things. Those days it was slightly higher, like any any other, green buildings, it used to be very expensive, little bit expensive. But today, because of the focus, because of the volume of acceptability of green products and the availability of green products locally, and all those factors have brought down the construction costs at par with any other products. That's the experience what we have. Number two, in terms of cost is one part actually. If you look at it, there may be a marginal increase in terms of using the green labeled products, but we have to experience it in the days to come. When the volume of consumption increase, obviously the product price and all those things will fall within that ambit of affordable range. That is what I am saying. The life cycle cost is the factor which is providing really advantage for this any kind of campuses, because it is not only capex, but as you know, capex may be about 10% of the cost. If you look at the life cycle of the asset for about 20 years or 30 years, the operational cost plays about 90% of the overall energy or any kind of expenditure. If the product is chosen appropriately, and that takes care of the payback period very early. And it is, to answer to your point, Mr. Rao, it is not expensive. It is not considered as expensive. That's the answer to you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I fully agree with you that I would like to listen this word from you as a developer, that the green products, even that could be initial cost could be little higher, but there are huge savings in the operating cost. I also agree that these volumes goes up for the green label products, and automatically the cost all become like business as usual, and then there is huge amount of savings. So I fully agree with you. And move to Dr. Naresh Tyagi, that so you are actually from a apparel and textile sector, and many of the consumers doesn't know what the green for in terms of a textile the business, that what is the eco label means and what is to the customer. That is something I wanted you to explain a little more, so that a lot of people knows about green cement and green steel, and but very little know about what is eco labeled textile product, because everybody uses it, but ultimately doesn't know which are the variation which is there in this particular product compared to the conventional.
Yeah, so I think a very good question. Let me give my perspective. Our sector, fiber, textile, apparel, and retail. This is the whole value chain, what we call. It's very different. One side you have very organized sector of textile mill. Then you have the unorganized sector, which is garmenting. Most of the garmenting is SME, a small unit. Anyone with 100 machine can have that garmenting unit. Then you have retail sector, and retail is again that mix of physical store, online store, and now omni-channel. So your majority of interaction with consumer happen in retail store. And if you see retail of Western world, particularly Europe, where consumer is much more evolved, they demand for that eco product and eco label. But when you see Asia and particularly South Asia, consumer is not so much well aware of. Now, when Western world brand in Europe, they do that eco labeling or eco product. For garment, there is no eco labeling yet officially standardized and asked for. Sustainable Apparel Coalition, one coalition which we are also one of the co-founding member. They developed something called Higg Index, and that Higg Index become kind of uniform standard. Where you produce your product is called FEM, Facility Environmental Module. How you make your product is called MSI, Material Sustainability Index. How you sell your product and retail your product is called BRM, Brand and Retail Module. So many people try to do that, but what happened that Asia is hub for all that supply chain and sourcing. And garment is mostly that least developed country product, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and all India, China. So when you produce your garment in a country where it need to be minimum cost, you compromise on many aspects of resource efficiency, be it environment, be it social. It's very, very critical how you have that resource efficiency in your entire value chain. And that's why life cycle analysis and assessment become big approach. We follow that life cycle thinking approach. How you design your product, how you manufacture your product, and when you manufacture, how your facility is efficient. For example, to produce one jeans, 3,000 liter of water is required. If you tell consumer, I'm selling this jeans without any label, are you going to tell that I'm inefficiently using resource and so wasting the water 3,000 liter? You are not going to tell. So what is happening? The way this industry is operating is that sustainable in longer term. So you have to optimize not only resource, you have to optimize cost. And in that way, resource efficiency in manufacturing, in sourcing, in your factories become very, very critical. How much water you use, how much energy you use, how much productivity you have, what is the health and safety parameter of your factory system, how much this industry is not too much pollutant in terms of environment, but water disposal and the waste generation is very high. So how you have that overall your manufacturing, which is not only resource efficient, but cost optimal. And in that way, we find that GreenPro, be it product or be it facility, is very, very useful. One very simple, I can give you an example. Most of our factory, when we have gone for all these things, for labeling and certification for green building, even we found our Higg index score was among the highest in Asia because we take care of resource efficiency and optimize the material. Perhaps we are the only retailer to have zero waste to landfill. None of a single gram of our waste goes to landfill. 99.98% of our waste is either recycled, repurposed, or reused. Energy, 60% of our warehouse energy is from renewable sources. All that when we make a building, material is recycled and reused. We put a lot of focus on local sourcing and local transportation. And all these things is a way of getting, I don't know whether by saying all these things you are doing it, you can demand something more premium from consumer. I don't think Indian consumer is ready to pay that. But are you able to have your sustainable business in long term? No, if you do the way. So that's why you have to look into that whole life cycle thinking, how cotton is made, how fabric is made, how garmenting is done, and then more important is warehouse. We are the only warehouse in India to have platinum standard in green building. And when you have that 16 lakhs square feet, which is retail, manufacturing, and factory, you are using all these things, how best and most optimal uses of resource you have. Water, energy, waste, carbon. We have reduced 15% carbon by following all these practices. Higg index, when you look into Higg index, many people are still struggling how to improve. But as we have that efficient way of manufacturing, by default, if you are removing your inefficiency, you are reducing your cost. For internal purpose, yes, cost efficiency and resource efficiency are intercorrelated. But consumer is not willing to pay premium. You say this product is having this label and give me 100 rupees more. Will you pay 100 rupees more for your shirt? You as a consumer, no. India consumer is actually expecting responsible brand, should think for that value chain approach, should think for that life cycle approach, but their willingness to pay premium is not still there. But very soon, I think Indian consumer, especially millennials, they are very demanding. They expect brand to be responsible. They expect sourcing and manufacturing need to be transparent. Prabodha touched on that transparency, disclosure and transparency. Very few brand globally and in Asia does. And perhaps in disclosure and reporting, we are one of the best. We declare even that if our waste is that, plastic is that much. In plastic, paper is that much. Single use is that much. How much we have reduced, how much we have eliminated, how much we have reused. I think now from resource efficiency, by all these eco-labeling and certification, we are able to now transit to that resource optimization. How you use less material, how you have that concept of recycling from the consumer, how you build that concept of circularity. We are the only one to have that circular apparel innovation factory for the industry ecosystem. Because one company, one brand can't do it. You need to have all that player, small, big, medium, to come together and make that whole ecosystem. So long way to go, but business-wise, it makes sense because you can't do that inefficient business in next 1 decade if you are not optimizing your resource. We have launched that denim instead of 3,000 liter, only 100 liter was used. But whether you will pay 200 rupees more for that denim, I'm not sure, because Indian consumer is still, it is long way them to ask for premium and them to pay premium. Indian consumer is very price conscious.
Maybe the customer, the customer will pay. Customer will pay if you say that you don't need water for washing the clothes. So I have a product which doesn't need water for washing. If you say that or it requires very little water, most probably customer realizes the benefit of that. But when it happens in the manufacturing stage, which he doesn't know, because what is happening behind that is only known to the producer. But then the user, when he gets the perception that no, this product doesn't need water or it's having a longer durability, and so these elements which ultimately makes sense for him, and it doesn't need ironing. I think you had some products which doesn't need iron, and some products means you are saving energy and also the time. Similarly, the water reduction in washing, all these are very, very important for the people. If we are able to do that, maybe people will pay premium for the product which had a lower water consumption, lower energy consumption at the use phase. And also, if you say that I'm able to recycle this material, the circular economy, that at the end of the life, I'm going to take back your material and I will once again use in this production of my new garments. That's something also is going to work wonders. I think definitely circular economy and in terms of the use phase savings are normally seen by the customers. And that's the area where I think if you're able to showcase those benefits, most probably the labeling will definitely deliver economic value in terms of the volume, total volume of the business, as well as in terms of the profitability and premium for it.
So I think, Mr. Rao, that one of the things that perception consumer has in India and everywhere, that energy and water is only making in that. Actually, in garment making or in any product, 30% is used in cotton cultivation, which is farming. Yeah. Only 40% is used, which is in that manufacturing. Yeah. And 30% is end use when consumer wash the garment themselves. Yeah. So I think we are giving high durability product. Our product is tested in Nirma extreme alkaline condition for 50 washes. Durability and quality is something which again save a lot in terms of energy, water, and resource.
I fully agree with you that if you are going into recycled fibers which are not produced once again from farming, and the chances that you save huge amount of water of avoiding the farming, basically recycled content, like what Mr. Prabodha Acharya says, that if I'm able to recycle steel, recycle aluminum, and able to produce it, I can actually avoid the virgin raw material. In the process, that the savings could be a very huge quantity. So thank you for your very detailed answer, and move to Mrs. Julia, that my point is that because you came from Russia, and I would like to know, one is the manufacturers, producers, whatever they are doing, but in terms of the government, what are the policy interventions done by government of Russia? And you have any examples which actually accelerated this? When you said 17% of the paints is actually labeled paints which have been sold in Russia, that indicates that there is definitely a strong policy support which is there. And what is the type of intervention? And also in the building sector, what are the other products which is actually penetrated to a large percentage? Like in India, the green building movement is less than 10%. And whereas in Russia, some of the cases where you find that the large penetration of eco-labeled products, which are the products which are went further deeper into the market, and also the type of policy interventions done by the government in Russia.
Thank you for the question. And the answer is rather difficult because unfortunately to date, there is almost no good governmental policy regarding to eco-labeling and eco-labeling support. There is no national eco-label in Russia to date, and our eco-label is the label from non-governmental organization, and we mainly act through the companies, showing them their perspectives and their benefits that they can get from the market. And the ways that we are promoting the eco-label is raising consumer awareness and retailers awareness so that they can create the demand for eco-labeled products for companies. I can tell that in the world, the most effective tool as a governmental intervention, as you already maybe know, is the green public procurement. This is really a very effective tool. And if we, for example, look to the Asian countries where the law for green public procurement was implemented, for example, China, Japan, or Taiwan, we can see that after the implementation of this law, the number of eco-labeled products raised a lot. And this is a really good tool that needs to be developed to raise the number of eco-labeled products. In Russia, we have now only the start of this, and there is some research that is made how to integrate the green criteria into the product contracts, governmental contracts. But still, this is only the start because nevertheless, we have the law that can that says that life cycle cost, for example, or environmental criteria can be included into the procurement. All the companies are afraid of using this tool because of the anti-monopoly law. So they're afraid that they would be punished by these anti-monopoly rules. So they don't do that now. And why there is such a great share in the retail of the eco-labeled products, this is just the not public procurement, but like private procurement, yes? So we have a great market of private purchases, for example, offices of different companies, or retailers, or also developers, for example, like in the building sector, that can establish their own rules for procurement. And this is not governmentally regulated. This is the policy of these particular companies. So in nowadays, we have such a development of eco-labeled products promotion in Russia that is based on the private procurement more. And regarding the building products, for example, I can give the example that when we have the buildings of different objects for great sport events, beginning from the Olympic Games in 2014 and now the football games and such things. In this building objects, they try to incorporate some green criteria, and the products that have environmental performance characteristics or eco-label, can be used with more benefit than not eco-labeled products. But still, the process is still beginning here in Russia, and we see more interest from consumers now in this field than from the government. And the last thing that I wanted to tell, that the process is moving. For example, in this year, there was implemented the law for sustainable agriculture products, which will lead for the agricultural eco-label, which will be managed by the Ministry for the Environment. And this is the good thing. And also they started to look into the green household chemistry and try to, now they are developing the governmental voluntary standards for green chemical products. So this sector is not now about building products, but I think the process has started and it will go also in the building sector. So
thank you. I think you gave a lot of inputs and it's a lot of direction for the government of India also. And moving to the technology side, I think Prabodh, and today, in the last few years, we are seeing that net zero cement, net zero concrete, net zero steel. So what is the green technologies? When I think about future, what going to be the movement for the cement and building material? Because buildings are constituting close to 40% of the carbon footprint, out of which 19% is embodied for footprint and 21 is operational footprint. So I think you represent both the products except the aluminum and glass. I think you both two major elements of steel and cement you represent. So I would like to know what could be the pathway for the cement and steel to become carbon neutral and also become really the manufacturing technologies. What going to be change we're going to expect from these sectors, both in cement and steel?
Thank you for that question. I think this very pertinent point you raised with respect to the decarbonization strategy, and both these sectors are also known as hard to abate sector. It's called hard to abate because it's difficult since the manufacturing process you get CO2 emissions. Now, before I answer the technological questions, I think I need to emphasize the fact that when we look at material emissions, we need to look at the entire life cycle. And that's what Naresh was also stating. And that is where we can compare what is the impact of a product. And that is where I consider steel is the most sustainable product in the world because that is infinitely recyclable. But that does not help in absorbing the responsibility to decarbonize the sector. It is all about how we can remove the usage of fossil fuel, and in cement, it is about the clinkerizations. So therefore, we need to look at this in two phases. What we can do in the short period, say 10 years, and what we need to do in a longer period, say 2030 to 50. Because technological developments are in the process and it is going to take time to make it feasible. Now let's take the case of steel. Now what we can do in the 10 years? We can definitely work on improving the material efficiency. That means what I told in the opening statement, as you produce more efficient, high strength steel, your consumption reduces. We also need to think whether we can have alternative material if you go to the cement and concrete. Is it the concrete is the end product? Cement is not the end product. So therefore, what alternatives we have and can we increase that alternatives? And that is where JSW Cement focuses using more alternative into cement itself so that your carbon footprint is lower. Second thing, what we can do in both the sector is that how we can improve energy efficiency. So if you increase energy efficiency, automatically the carbon footprint reduces. The third thing is that how we can replace the electrical energy through renewables. So more electrical energy, at least the electrical energy part, I am not talking about thermal energy part. So as we increase, and that is one of the reasons. the next step, what we could do is that input recyclable material as much as we could. That means in the steel, if I can increase my scrap input, and that is their question comes about the availability, specifically countries like in Asia, where the economy is now growing and the availability of end of the pipe scrap is not yet available. But as much we can maximize that use, we can reduce. Similarly, if we can use alternative material used in the cement sector, so that can reduce your thermal inputs and that can help in decarbonization. The other is again operational efficiency. Now look, in steel, what happens? You do reductions of iron oxides with carbon. Now, if I can make steel with less input, carbon material input, so that will also help in my decarbonizations. So these are things which is we can achieve in the existing technology, whether it is in cement or is in the steel. Now, that is not going to solve my purpose to achieve net zero, whether it is by 2050 or if you follow the International Energy Agency's sustainable development scenario to go up to 2070, that is based on the technological maturity. So this is not going to take where we want us to go. So what we need to do, I see, three broad applications. The first is that, can I completely eliminate carbon inputs? That's the alternative candidate is hydrogen. So if I can use steel with hydrogen reductions, it will be completely carbon neutral. You don't need any CO2 emission. That is one path. The second is that I continue making steel using blast furnace and BOF, which is come by the existing technologies. But I capture those carbon, either you use or you store. So work on the carbon cycle. So that is the next possible technology. Third is that bioenergy or electrolysis with green energy. So these are some things which is coming. Same thing in cement sector, or after the all efficiency improvement, improving your alternative thermal inputs, then renewable energy. Remaining is that you need to capture that carbon and work on the carbon cycle to reduce. So carbon capture, utilization, and or storage combinations is one of the hope in this hard to abate sector, I would say. Right now, it is not economically feasible, but we know it is all technically feasible.
Continuing this question, that what is the policy intervention required if you wanted to realize the dream that how the net zero is feasible only by the manufacturers, but there should be policy intervention, and ultimately, what is the type of interventions the government of India has to do, see that the carbon neutral steel and cement become a reality?
Very good question, Mr. Rao. I think this is the responsibility of decarbonizing economy doesn't lie only with the manufacturer. And that's the point I want to put very straight. It is all the stakeholder, not only the regulators, also the investors and society and the consumers. They have a great role, because we had some discussions, not just telling whether consumers are going to pay the premium or not. I completely agree that premium they are not paying, but definitely I can tell that consumers are putting pressure on having more sustainable product or even net zero steel or net zero cement. So that is a pressure. So the expectations from the consumer and customers is one thing which is gaining importance. It's not going to die down, whether they pay or not pay. Now the next question is, who pays them? Somebody has to pay the additional cost. And that is where policy interventions are required. And that is where the collaborations are required. It is not only the availability of technology, availability of finance at the cost which is feasible, and policy intervention which will encourage such use. Now, classic thing is that you increase the cost of carbon. Now, if the carbon cost becomes $100, everybody will do carbon capture and storage. There is no other way, because whether you pay the tax or you put in your investment on the technology which the cost is going to reduce. What is happening in Europe? Why they are putting, so seriously working towards it? Because the carbon cost has almost touched $50, and if you look at carbon capture storage, it's almost $110. So the reverse balance, if you can get from the government, then it's workable. Now, you might have heard the recent news that one of the hydrogen-based steel making is happening, and that is why it is the policy interventions that government is supporting that additional cost benefit. So there has to be regulations. Not only regulations, there has to be policy interventions in respect of deciding or encouraging companies to adopt cleaner technologies. And at the same time, education or awareness among the consumers is also very essential. So it has to be holistically seen.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And until unless the ecosystem is not developed, it is both the users and regulators and producers all together. Ultimately, the cost of carbon has to be shared between all the people in the process that the project becomes viable. So there should be domestic carbon markets need to be developed, and in the process that we should be able to trade the carbon, because we are don't right now. That's the only way where we can raise low cost finance. So definitely, it's a very good suggestions you have given. Thank you very much. And I move to Dr. Velan. My question to you is that you are a developer. I would like to know what is the role of a developer and what is the role of an architect and also facility management company in promoting the green procurement in building sector.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. I think Dr. Velan left. Let me check with him, sir. Meanwhile, you can move to Dr. Naresh.
Yeah, I'll move to Dr. Naresh. Yeah. So, Dr. Naresh, now you heard that when you think about the technology, like one is the most important element in the textile sector is the how we actually going to address the circular economy in textile sector. And it's a major challenge for the textile sector, because we are starting from from farming up to the from cotton, and then how we are producing. Another one is the taking the material from the polyester and everything, all petroleum products. Now, what could be the future for the textile sector in terms of using circular economy? What is the improvement which you can foresee in the next couple of decades? Dr. Naresh.
Yeah. Very complex question, but let me try to answer it. This textile sector is a little bit advanced. But when you talk about value chain, you have to look all the stakeholders. All stakeholders, when I say your chemical supplier, your manufacturer, garmenter, textile, even some of that people who are part of that tier 2, tier 3 system of supply base, embroidery, printing, so and so. So this sector has that tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And then you have that lot of other stakeholders. In retail side, your transporter, your logistics, your mall developer, and your customer, and then consumer. So how you bring that all these people together, what is needed as a industry to have that sustainable ecosystem? Many people try to say that recycling, but that is within the facility. So how you have that closed loop system where your waste or your end waste become raw material for you in the closed loop environment. So current system of linear economy, which this sector is built, is non-sustainable. Particularly this problem is more in actually Western world, Europe, where almost 60% of garment after use is thrown to the landfill. Do you have that much landfill to throw the garment? No. So to have that concept of whole circularity, I think consumer need to be very, very critical part. Many early stage of having recycling, you can have fiber made out of your waste, fabric waste. But to use that final garment as a post-consumer uses, still it is long journey, because it has blend of polyester, cotton, so and so. It has lot of other material where segregation is not possible. Lot of R&D, lot of technology, lot of investment and collaboration is required with the university, with institute, with R&D centers to have that whole concept of circularity, how that post-usage, consumer post-usage garment can come back and it can be dissolved and made as a fabric or fiber. Lot of alternate material is required, which can be recyclable. And I think that three principles in that: how your material or product can be used more, made to be made use more. Second, how it is made to be remade again. And third important thing is that how you make that product from renewable sources and material. So I think that first part is easy. You can choose material which is more sustainable. But if you are not making that durable, if you are not making that to be used more, then your cycle remain partially linear, makes a very small portion circular. And the third part, I think that the consumer, to bring back that cloth to your store, they need to have some sort of awareness. They need to have some sort of orientation. In our brand, Peter England, we launch a program called Share Happiness. We encourage consumer to bring back their old clothes, and we say, your next buying, we will give you 500 rupees. We receive 80,000 garment, and 80,000 garment we tie up with that, I was saying NGO, Mooj. And that garment was given after repairing for the reuse for the charity. The garment which cannot be has gone back for upcycling for the home furnishing industry. The one which is possible to recycle and segregate has gone for making fiber again. But whole logistic and reverse logistic is very complex. You can't have your reverse logistic taking cost and again your technology cost, making your circular fiber more expensive than your virgin. So I think technology is required to optimize that cost. Stakeholders are required to be part of that. Early start and industry is coming together, but a lot of regulatory and policy intervention is required to encourage people to have more and more circular and recycled component. And at the same time, I think R&D institute need to have technology and innovation, which is much more feasible commercially, technically, and cheaper.
Yeah, thank you. What is your last word to the in terms of to accelerate the eco-label products in our country?
I think that Indian consumer want a product which is made sustainably, which is sourced ethically, which is produced in a manner it should be procured ethically, more sustainable, and they want actually that product to be declared it is sustainable. And I think they appreciate that. Many programs which we have run, they appreciate that. Even when we voluntarily did that product transparency declaration, people appreciated it. But can only one retailer do it and not other do it? I think that is some intervention from policy and other thing where incentive is there, people to do more eco-labeling.
Thank you.
Currently, it is not there.
Yeah, thank you. And Prabodh, what is your last word on eco-labeling? Which are the products of cement and steel going to be coming to the eco-label? Your new products?
See, Mr. Rao, I would like that all our products are eco-labeled.
Okay.
And as a leading steel manufacturer and cement manufacturer in the country, I believe that we have a obligations towards our consumers and customers to make them aware about the benefits of using sustainable products rather than using any product at the same when you have the cost parity. So I believe that we have a responsibility towards that, and I like to see that there are standards established in the country so that more and more products come into eco-labeling.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Yulia. What is your view for the message to the Indian audience in terms of eco labeling? How we should progress? Any special message from you?
I can say that, as I already told, I believe that green public procurement have a lot of influence, and unfortunately, I don't know what is the situation in India now, but I wish that this sector should develop more. And if you work more actively with the government and promoting green public procurement, it could help a lot to every company who is dealing with governmental supply to be more sustainable and to have clear benefits of it. And I also wish the Indian society to have more choice of good, sustainable, eco-labeled products. And I wish that Indian beautiful nature should benefit from all this. So all the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for all the panel, all the speakers in the panel, and you have shared excellent feedback on most of the issues which we have raised. And since the time is only 1 hour 15 minutes, and so thank you once again on behalf of CIGDC, and wish you all the best. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Lovely meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful moderation. So it was a wonderful deliberations on eco-labeling, decarbonization, green manufacturing, green companies. So I hope there are a lot of takeaway for the participants. So we would like to end the session with thanking the sponsors. You may sign off, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we would like to thank our platinum sponsors, Somani Plywood, Greenply, JSW Cement, Tata Discounts. So they are all, without them, this event may not be possible. So we would like to wholeheartedly thank our sponsors who are supporting us in the journey. And also we would like to thank our associate sponsors, Nippon Paint, USG Boral, Pure Organics, for supporting us in GreenPro Summit. Thank you. So one announcement for the participants: the next session will be starting in another 5 to 10 minutes. So kindly stay back, and you can meanwhile you can also visit the exposition. You can go and interact with people who are making green products and technologies. So, and also when you are coming back, you can also use Q&A tab, which is placed on the right corner, to pose the questions. At the end of the session, the question will be taken for a Q&A session. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Justin. Good evening, Mr. Hariharan.
Good evening.
Hi, this is Prateek. I'll be coordinating the session.
Okay.
It will start in like 10, 12 minutes. So till now, till then you can close the camera and we can, you can join afterwards.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Please stay here. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Ashish Rakheja will be joining in like couple of minutes. Yeah, he's in. Good afternoon, Ashish, sir. You're muted, sir. Sir, you're muted.
I said sorry for the confusion, Pratik. I still didn't get the email. It's come from someone else.
Maybe I think it's going into spam or something.
Yeah, it looks like that only. Right.
Okay, so I'll quickly explain what will be the flow.
Correct,
So
correct,
I'll be, yes. Yes, so I'll quickly explain the flow of the session. I'll be introducing Ashish sir. Then Ashish sir will take over, give a small brief about some innovative energies, like introduce. Then you can introduce Justin. He's going to give special address.
Okay.
So for next, like for 5 minutes, he'll give a special address. After that, you have to introduce 3 speakers from Singapore. So these people will present their innovative technologies.
Perfect.
And after that, they can, if you have any questions, you can ask them. So that will be the flow.
So you'll put the CVs on the screen, right?
Sorry?
You'll put the CV on the screen.
Yes, definitely, sir. Definitely.
And what are they going to be talking about? Will that also come?
Yes, sir. They'll be presenting. So I think everything will come. So.
Got it.
Okay. Sorry for the miscommunication.
No, no issues. It's okay. Which session are we on? This is okay, I see that now. Okay, okay. Okay, I think we are good.
Right. First, sir, I'll be playing a couple of sponsor videos. Then we can start the session.
Okay.
Sure, sir. Just a second.
वायरस गार्ड वाला प्लाई लाया हूँ खैर अब फर्नीचर बनाने में नो मोटर मोटे डफर ऊपर के खतरे का टेंशन तो कौन अंदर के खतरे से बचाएगा कौन अंदर का खतरा अधिकतर प्लाईवुड से फॉर्मलिन गैस का एमिशन होता है जो सेहत के लिए हानिकारक है फर्नीचर बनाए सिर्फ ग्रीन प्लाई से लाया है इंडिया का पहला जीरो एमिशन प्लाई जीरो चुनो खुल के सांस लो
One more video.
Every living being needs a home. Be it a hole in the wall, or one with a swimming pool. Be it on a high-rise, or in the basement. Be it a studio apartment, or a grand piece of architecture. Be it with a sky roof, or one with an ocean view. Be it a cabin in the mountains, or a shack beside the sea. Every living being needs a home, because only a home makes the world feel safer. This Environment Day, renewing our commitment to keep all homes safe, clean and green, and abundant with fresh oxygen.
A very good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of GreenPro Ecolabel, I, Prateek Khanna, welcome you all to the 5th edition of GreenPro Summit 2021. The topic of this session is interactive session with innovative technology suppliers from Singapore. I would like to thank our sponsors. For making this event possible for us. So a special thanks to Platinum sponsors Ecowood Sumani, Greenply, JSW Cement, Tata Tiscon, and our associate sponsors Nippon Paint, USG Boral, and Wookie. To proceed further, I would like to welcome Mr. Ashish Rakheja, Managing Director, Aeon Consultants. Ashish Rakheja is managing partner at Aeon. He has a postgraduate degree in thermal engineering with 28 years of work experience. A seasoned consulting engineer, he has designed over 2,000 projects, including hotels, airports, hospitals, retail, residential, commercial, and high-rises and industrial projects. He specializes in high performance buildings and has been actively involved in leading design activities of electromechanical services for 10 net zero energy buildings and over 40 platinum rated green projects in India. He is spearheading the green building movement in India in capacity of role as a chairman, technical committee of an Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, and certified trainer. Mr. Ashish Rakheja, we welcome you to the 5th GreenPro Summit and would request you to kindly enlighten us with today's opening remarks. Thank you, Ashish, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Prateek, and welcome everyone to this summit on the GreenPro Summit 2021. I'm delighted that the summit has been going so well and comes at the backdrop of the growing green building movement in India. I'm sure you heard from the chairman in the morning in terms of the green footprint that India currently enjoys and the global position that it enjoys in terms of the total green buildings developing here. As we progress further, I think the green is evolving and has changed the design of the built environment in a big way. It has impacted the design of the built environment in a big way. And now it is progressing towards what I love to say, a net zero world. From the efficiency, I think the efficiency now gets rewarded in form of the net zero. Whether it's net zero energy, whether it's net zero water, whether it's net zero waste. These are three areas which the Green Building Council has focused on. And as we go in that area, ultimate aim, of course, being a carbon neutrality. The Indian Green Building Council has a clear sight on where we'd like to go with respect to the carbon neutrality. Already the work is being done in the area of developing the rating systems. I'm happy to tell you that we have a rating system for net zero energy buildings and net zero water buildings that came up in last 2 years' time. And the rating system has been received so well by the industry that we already have more than projects in double digit at this point of time, which have got registered and enjoying this. Going further, of course, the work is currently going on net zero waste and carbon neutral net zero carbon rating systems, which hopefully we are planning to get them launched by this year end. Having said that, having a rating system, having a target is one part of it. But more important is how are the green products going to support us? And that's where this GreenPro Summit come into the picture, because we need partners. Gone are the days when you could sit in one corner and design. I don't think that works anymore. What we need is an interactive process. The world itself is changing very, very fast. The new technologies are coming in very fast. And that's where we require a hand-holding, an integrated process, which is what the sustainability is all about. So on the backdrop of this, I'm happy to see that we have excellent product presentations that are coming up, which you'll be hearing a little while from now. We got 3 product presentations which are there, the technology presentations, I like to call them, which will talk about the newer technologies, the future technologies, and each one of them would be something that we should be looking forward to. Before we go forward, I'd like to invite Mr. Justin Gore, who's the Regional Group Director, West and South India, South Asia Enterprise, Singapore. He has been appointed, and I'd like to invite him to come and speak here. I'd like to introduce him to all of you. Enterprise Singapore is the government agency championing the enterprise development, and Mr. Justin Gore is the Regional Group Director of Enterprise Singapore. The Enterprise Singapore work with the committed companies to build the capabilities, innovate, and internationalize. There are 3 overseas centers which the enterprise has: Delhi, Mumbai, and Chennai in India. And the ESG works towards establishing the innovation and trade connections with India and develop platforms and partnerships. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Justin. The floor is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish. So I'll keep my opening address short and sweet so we can leave more time for the companies to share. So firstly, I would like to express my thanks to CRI and the Indian Green Building Council for this valuable opportunity where we can showcase Singapore companies and their sustainability relevant solution, technologies, and product at this summit. So in the 2021 Union Budget, Indian Finance Minister emphasized on the urgency to continue focusing on sustainability as a key theme alongside India's infrastructure and India's industrial development ambitions. And again, at the Asia Infrastructure Forum 2021, which is organized by our Singapore Ministry of Finance and MAS, she again reiterated the need to rethink financing and development priorities to ensure that sustainable infrastructure is aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So CRI has always been the flag bearers for a lot of the national initiative, and for the sustainability movement in India, they again are taking the lead. Just this April, what we noted is that the CRI Green Building Council had launched the IGBC mission on net zero. This is to support India's ambition to achieve net zero carbon emission status by 2050. And more than 250 organizations have pledged their commitment to move towards the net zero status for both existing buildings as well as for their future development. So this is a very notable mission, which I have no doubt will rally more Indian organizations as well as MNCs in India to step forward. Today's summit is another effort by CRI and GBC to encourage and facilitate the transformation effort to embrace more sustainable and green technologies, solutions, and products. So similar to India, Singapore government had launched our own Singapore Green Plan 2030, which is a whole of nation movement to advance our national agenda on sustainable development. Our plan will also draw reference from the UN 2030 SDG and the Paris Agreement. And Singapore will take concrete steps towards increasing our green covers, solar energy adoption, waste reduction, and promote the circular economy. And one notable thing to note is by 2030, we also envision to move all newly registered vehicles to be cleaner energy models. So the sustainability movement had actually started years ago in Singapore. So now with the Green Plan 2030, we will enable more private sector participation to develop capabilities, technologies, solutions, and products to effect the transformation of how we live, work, and grow our economy. So Enterprise Singapore and CRI, we will work together closely to discover new areas of partnership under the sustainability and net zero agenda. I have no doubt that there will be plenty of opportunities for exchange of ideas, networking between organizations from both countries, and the adoption of solutions, technologies, and products to advance this cause. Today, we have 3 companies, Singapore companies, who have agreed to showcase their solutions. And I believe Ashish will introduce them later. But they are Mr. Matthew from Be Bright, Mr. Harihamnan from Third Wave Power, and Mr. Eric from V-Flow Technology. So I look forward to a fruitful session for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you for your opening remarks. That's wonderful. In fact, this partnership between the 2 countries has been growing over the period of time, and I'm happy to see the new products that are coming, the companies that are represented here today. So we look forward to hearing them. And thank you for capturing what Singapore is doing in terms of the sustainability and the net zero movement. So great. Let's start with the session now, Prateek. If you could, yeah. So our first speaker for the day is Mr. Hariharan, who's the CEO of Third Way Power. Mr. Hariharan has been leading the Singapore startup Third Way Power for the past several years. Third Way Power develops affordable and innovative portable renewable power solutions that serve portable energy needs for consumers living in the off-grid rural areas. The solutions range from solar lighting, solar education, entertainment, and livelihood solutions. Mr. Hariharan brings more than 25 years of work experience from the IT industry. In HP and Wipro Infotech, he was in the general management roles as well as the senior roles. Hari is also on board of several companies. Hari has extensive experience in product marketing as well as the building go-to market for consumer and business products. Hari holds a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering from IIT Chennai and MBA from IIM Bangalore. We are looking forward to hearing you, Hari. Great bio, and I'm sure the product also will speak volume about the experience that you carry. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for the kind introduction, and thanks to CII and thanks to ESG for nominating us and inviting us. Very happy to be here. Will we have the slides on, or how will we do this?
So you have to share the screen. There's a small green button, share screen. You can share your presentation from there.
Okay, I have it. Very good. So very quickly, you can see it, right, Prateek? Okay. The name of our company is Third Way Power. It's a Singapore-based company. We design, develop, and manufacture a range of quality solar products for the off-grid market, the rural market. And I know while it would be important for a lot of people joining from India, you would be probably more interested in the Pego technology I'm going to talk about. We market our products under the name of Jugnu, EmpowerPad, and Pegro. We operate in India, ASEAN, and Africa. We have almost 500,000 units with rural customers in about 10 to 12 states in India, with a variety of customer use cases. And we are going after the off-grid rural market. But for the focus of this meeting with CII GreenPro, we have focused on a product called Pego, which is a fintech product that we have developed to create a pay-per-use model along with our product solutions, but it can work in a variety of situations, including green buildings, etc. So that's what we're going to talk about. Everything we are doing is decentralized, decarbonized, and we are also now digitizing our solutions. So that's the focus. As I go into talking more about Pego, which is the focus of my presentation, it's again, as I mentioned, one of the elements of the platform that we have created outside of our hardware products. Our trademark name is Pegro. It's a credit management platform which enables customers to pay in small installments. And so imagine a product. The left-hand side, you can see a solar product there. Our distributor can either sell, lease, rent, or pay-per-use this product to a customer, and the customer can pay in small installments. So that's what we are enabling here. Now that obviously seems like everybody, all the financing companies do it. So what is different? What is different in what we do? I'll get into a bit of detail on that. But before I do that, first and foremost, this has born out of the fact that we operate in the distributed renewable energy space, where customers need accessibility to low-cost products, affordable products, and products that enable solar product as a service. And even 5,000 rupee products can be enabled as a service using our Pego model. It offers different kinds of prepayment plans, attractive installment plans. It works in a variety of models, hire purchase, rental, pay-per-use. And our distributors with this software and our service providers can manage customers, agents digitally, and also manage payments. Financiers and bankers, we are increasingly seeing get greater confidence in companies that can lock a system when there's no payment made and reduce delinquency and digitally managed system providing transparency. This technology is right now created by us for solar, but we are also working on non-solar applications, and it is amenable to public services and different kinds of services, which we'll show you in a moment. How does this work? Key components. There are 4 components in our platform. There's a web management platform. There is an Android app. There is a unlock lock mechanism. And there is a credit management platform. They all come together to provide once a payment is made by the customer for 1 day, 7 days, 30 days of electricity from the solar product, they get a token, they punch the token, very similar to a prepaid mobile phone card. So you pay for 10 rupees top up or 50 rupees top up or 100 rupees top up, you get a token and you enter the token, it unlocks the system to use, and then it locks again at the end of the period. This can be for a period, this can be units of electricity, this can be anything, we just can define it in the system. So these are the key components. I'll not get into the detail, but each of the key components have a lot of features. So the web management platform has a variety of features from customer management, agent management, tracking, monitoring, etc. The Android app helps the agents to onboard customers, take payments from the customers. The credit management system provides credit through the system to the customer for as many days or as many units needed, and then it locks the system through a token system. So you get a token, you activate the device, and then the device shut down again. So this whole thing works through this PayGo system. It's a combination of these 4 modules. I've given an example here. This is an example in Philippines, but we're also executing some examples in India on our own products. So what you see, the green box on the left-hand side is a solar home system, which powers lights. It powers a TV, it powers a fan. And the right-hand side, you see the PayGo system consisting of the web-based platform, an agent app, a credit management system. And at the bottom, you see the flow. The utility provider, it could be a national utility provider or local utility provider through an agent, reaches out to homes for electricity. They install these solar products. And when the customer pays, they get to use the product for that many days or that many units. And so this whole system can work for everybody. It works for distributors, it works for customers, it works for financiers, and it works for obviously product vendors like us. Now that was an example of what we executed, but it works for a variety of systems. It can work for rooftop solar for a home. It can work for a commercial installation of solar where you want to, you have a microgrid and you're powering 1,000 homes. And you can actually digitize the last mile using PayGo. And the bottom you see solar pump. So it works for solar irrigation. It works for solar chillers. It works for, it can work for e-vehicle charging station or e-vehicles. It can work for a mini grid. It can work for white goods shop floor. Obviously, there is some development that has to be done with the platform to enable these kinds of solutions, but it can work on a variety of situations, solar and non-solar. It can also work in a variety of public services application, so like parking meters, water meters, phone charging stations, and a variety of public toilets, etc. So you just have to imagine where you can apply it. It's basically, you can think of it as a fintech tool and a last mile digitization tool working with your the product or the service at the end. The platform PayGo has been created obviously on reliable platforms like Azure and AWS. Takes very short to onboard and it's quite flexible. And we are right now rolling this out in different geographies. In India, we are rolling out in Bihar with a last mile company for financing solar products. We are working with some other non-solar companies as well in terms of rolling out this platform and licensing this platform. So we're just in discussion with many companies. If there is interest to partner, please reach out to us. It's these emails are available. We'll be very happy to look at green building applications where PayGo can play a role in terms of making it greener and more digitized. Any questions? I don't know if I took more time or less, but I'm happy to answer.
Hari, you've been right on time. I would say that. Prateek, should we do the questions now at the end? I think we can do all of them together in the end. Would that be okay?
In the end, will be the question.
Yeah, in the end will be better because then we can dedicate our time to question and answer. Thank you so much. I think this the model that you spoke about, the PAYGO, as you say, I think it's quite relevant because with this renewable energy now making a big entry into the country, into India, especially the larger projects, because there are many. I love to say this. I say India is not developing buildings; we are building cities at this point of time. And as we are building cities, the sustainable way, of course, in terms of renewable energy, is to look at to solar and any other renewable energy form that we have available with us. And we need these kind of last mile connectivities in order to correctly bring them to the customers. Even in larger townships and all, we are seeing challenges on how to bill and how to take it to the last, how to bill it to the last person. So great solution. I'm sure you'll find the partners here. You'll get some interest going forward from the audience. Before we go there, as I said, let's move on to the next presenter, and we'll come back to you, Hari, in a little while from now. So our next presenter is Matthew, who's the commercial director from Be Bright. Matthew is the global sales director, and he has developed throughout his career a strong experience in business development and management, notably in the IT and construction field. Before joining Be Bright, he oversaw international sales for an HVAC leader in climate separation, and thus supporting major players in the retail and industrial sectors to achieve their energy saving objectives and to improve their operations on site. Matthew is graduated with an executive MBA in general management from Paris. So welcome, Matthew. I'd like you to switch on your camera, and you can use the share screen button at the bottom to put up your presentation.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ashish, and thank you, CII and Enterprise Singapore for having us today. Can you see me? Can you hear me correctly?
Yeah, we see you very clearly.
Okay, that is great. And I will share my screen and show you our presentation, which
yes, it's visible
okay.
now.
Yeah, I saw people nodding, so it's okay. Okay, great. So Be Bright, Be Bright works on predictive optimization, addressing the HVAC and refrigeration systems. So when we say HVAC is standing for heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and the R is for refrigeration. So we look at buildings for optimizing those systems with predictive models that we build thanks to artificial intelligence. And I will, if it works, okay. So I will now tell you a bit more about who we are, the challenges that we solve. So when we go and see our customers, we face many technical and energy challenges within the building, and the services that we provide, along with some case studies that I will show you as well. So who's Be Bright? Be Bright, as I was saying, address the HVAC and refrigeration systems. So heating, ventilation, air conditioning. In India, it's mainly air conditioning and refrigeration that we would be looking at. We work with big buildings, basically big consumers of electricity, with the use of those systems and for heating or cooling, and in Asia mainly for cooling, the warehouses, factories, commercial buildings, as you can see. The services that we provide are obviously on energy and energy management and optimization. So we reduce the energy consumption of the building, but we also, with that same tool, improve the operations on site, and with a layer of predictive algorithm, support the maintenance of those systems. The results are then on the energy part, we reduce the CO2 emissions, we reduce the electricity bills, but we also provide the same customers and the facility managers on these sites with an improvement of the level of comfort and operation. And I will give you a bit more detail afterwards. Here on this slide, mainly what I will comment is the fact that we're a startup. We exist since 2015, and we were founded in Singapore. We also have an office in Europe, in Lyon. Lyon is in France, sorry, so in Lyon, in France. And the other thing that I think is interesting to comment here is the references that we have. So DHL, for example, is one of our biggest customers in Singapore at the moment and in Asia. Siva Logistics as well. And so these are actors within the logistic industry, and along with other major actors in Europe or in Asia that we work with within the, again, logistic industry or commercial buildings, such as shopping malls, office towers. We work also with other types of buildings that, as long as they consume a lot of energy. So, for example, hotels and offices, but I think I've mentioned them already. Industries as well, so in the industrial sector, pharmaceutical and chemical industries. The challenges that we solve, because we see our customers, their expectations usually are energy-wise. They want to reduce their carbon footprint and to reduce the consumption overall for saving energy and money. But when we go on site and we say we're tackling the issue through optimizing the HVAC and refrigeration equipment, what we hear is that the challenges are more technical in the first place. And those technical challenges, and I've mentioned it earlier, regard the operation, the equipment, and the need of support and of our expertise. So operations, because we need to maintain a certain level of temperatures, whether it is because of for comfort, for people's comfort in the building, or whether it is for maintaining goods at the right temperature. So that can be also humidity rates. I'm mentioning temperatures. It can be humidity rates or air renewal, air quality, etc. In terms of equipment, the customers and the clients that we have want us to help them maintain the reliability of this equipment and the expertise, because by working with them on this, they can therefore work on other topics and reduce time-consuming tasks. That being said, the energy aspect is still very important, and so as I said, most of the time that's why they wait for us in the first place. And so regarding the energy management of the building, they're expecting us to reduce costs and to sometimes comply with labels, and the carbon reduction objective usually goes along with the energy cost reduction. But again, there are some specific KPIs on that most of the time. And so this is what we look at. Before switching to Be Bright, I like to show the traditional response on the market when we're expecting to improve the working of the system that heats and cools down a building. And usually it consists of improving or implementing a building management system, or replacing equipment for switching to a new, more efficient equipment, or even modifying the building. Most of the time it consists in insulating the building better. And so we consider, or we notice and we observe that the building management system are working on pre-programmed logic. So you can plan scheduling of all of the actions that you want to have on that, but they're not optimizing on their own. And the replacement of equipment or modifying the building is rather likely to disrupt the operations while you're implementing those systems, and are quite costly, or they are linked to a long-term energy performance contract that would then keep the customer stuck with a partner basically for a few years, and it can go from 5 to 15 years from what we see, for example, in Singapore. So the service that we provide with is something bothering me here on my screen. Sorry. So the service that we provide to our customers is possible thanks to a combination of expertise, automation, because we need to connect to the system, to the HVAC system, in order to understand them, to read, to collect some data, and then to optimize the systems. HVAC and refrigeration specialists within the team, because obviously we need to have people not only that connect to the systems, but that understand those systems. Data science with different layers within those layers of expertise within the data science field. We have experts in artificial intelligence, and our algorithms are also built thanks to machine learning. And that data science layer is very important, because we need to, again, collect a lot of information, and then you need to process it, to understand it, and to make it valuable. And so we have in our team specialists in that, and energy, because we need to understand also the energy supplement, the technicality and the mechanism of the energy contracts as well. So altogether, those expertise are the combination that we use for these different processes, or these different types of offers that we provide with. We can monitor the system, we can model, understand the energy behavior of the system, and model it. We show it in customized dashboards, and we can either advise our customers on what they should change after what we've understood from the building, or, and this is what we do in 99% of the cases, and including all of the customers that I've quoted earlier, we do predictive control and maintenance of the systems, which means that all of those layers are comprised within this premium kind of service. I'll tell you a bit more about this. The way it works is here. I'll show you. Sorry, I'm a bit stuck here. Okay, so the way the performance optimization work is we install microcomputer on site. It's not written here, but it's comprised within the whole cloud. Well, it would be along with the cloud, sorry. So that's technically, physically on site, the microcomputer, and we connect it to the automation system or the building management system. For a few weeks, our system will collect data regarding cooling and ventilation, for example, for sites in Asia and in India, and process that information in order to understand the energy behavior of the building, taking into consideration what the weather is, so in terms of temperature, humidity rates, sunlight, etc., all what's within the weather as a variable, and the activity of the building. We take that into consideration for understanding the way the building will behave in order to comply with its own technical constraints and operational constraints. The energy price is mentioned here as well, because sometimes there's some special contracts where the price of electricity varies over time, and every hour, every a few days, etc. And so this has an impact also on how the building is managed. So during that first period that I was mentioning, we take data, we process them, understand the way the building works, taking into consideration those three big categories of variables. Then, so after a few weeks, once we've understood how the building is behaving, we will optimize those systems. And again, we will take into consideration the weather and the activity and the energy price, but by anticipation. So what we like to say is that the building management system traditionally work on simple scenarios that are pre-scheduled, pre-programmed, and we switch that to an additional layer that makes the system smart with an intelligent control with optimized scenarios. And so those scenarios are optimized 24/7 all year round. They're optimized by anticipating as well the activity, the weather, and the energy price. And they harmonize all of the system. So we make all of the systems, whether it is the production or the distribution side, work together. And this is what we want to show here, basically to give a bit more insight about what we actually do. What we actually do is on those systems, we're likely to modify fan speeds, to control dynamically the water flow rate, to change the water temperature of the cooling system, to work on fan speed of the condensators or on the air handling units. So everything that we can address on those systems, we will address on the production side. So working on high, low floating pressure, or on the distribution side. And the success of the system is not only because of the anticipation and the automation, it's also because we don't optimize an item, a unit, just as it is, but we optimize it within its whole environment. And it's like making the whole system communicate together, basically. All of this allows us to reduce the energy consumptions by 15 to 40%, depending on the sites, depending on the equipment. Some of the customers that I've quoted earlier, such as DHL, it's 37%, for example. But not only energy savings, it's also helping to detect anomaly, like problems on the system. So derivations of performance of the system. So in this way, we support the maintenance, or it helps as well in order to achieve the operations better in terms of the temperature that is required on site, the humidity rate, along with other constraints. Now, and I'll finish with this, there's a case study, and it's actually DHL. That's in Singapore. Quite a big space, 400,000 cubic meters, with a constraint of temperature that has to be comprised within 18 and 25 degrees indoor. And those, well, that being said, the temperatures are one aspect, but the humidity is also a big topic there for the conservation of the goods that they store in that building. So the challenge was to reduce the electricity bill and to improve the levels of temperature, so to remain within those ranges as stated, but also to make the temperatures more homogeneous within the whole area. So what we did is we installed some more sensors. We started running our system for understanding the building, and then optimizing it by
Matthew, 1 more minute, please.
Okay. Thank you for saying. So I'll finish within a minute. Anticipating external conditions and controlling the operations of the systems. For doing this, we also switch on and off some fan speed set points, and just rushing it a bit, but the results are here: 320,000 euros saved every year on that building, and the equivalence in terms of CO2 emissions and what it represents in terms of energy is written here, and 37% overall. Customer is very happy, and we can talk again about this. I will not go through this. The idea is to say we need to see the site, then make an offer, and we can start the project. And I'm finished with the presentation for today. If you want to reach out to me, do not hesitate to call. The details are here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matthew.
Sorry,
I think you brought it out wonderful that the AI is the way to go, because HVAC systems take a lot of energy, especially for a country like India, which is primarily a hot climate country or hot and humid climate country. I think with the growing numbers of the air conditioning systems, the AI could play a major role in doing that. So we are running now short of time, so I'd like to invite our third speaker, Mr. Eric Lau. If you can put his biodata up there, please. Mr. Eric Lau is a strategic business leader from vFlow Tech, and he's going to be talking about the flow meters. Mr. Eric Lau is a strategic sales professional with a global portfolio of experience. He has been with the vFlow Tech since November 2020, and he has strategically chartered the business development activities and developed a strong market traction for vanadium flow battery energy storage in the renewable sector. Mr. Eric brings with him more than 20 years of technology leadership experience at both strategic and operational levels in managing large-scale infrastructure and maintenance operations. He has a deep background in energy sustainability and sound domain knowledge in smart grid, smart building, renewable energy, and storage, and entrepreneurial experience in regionalized startup company across APAC region. He's an MBA from University of MBA and bachelor degree in electrical engineering from Singapore. So welcome, Mr. Lau, and the floor is all yours.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Ashit. Allow me to share my slide. Right, can you all see it?
Yes, it's visible.
All right, once again, thank you, Mr. Ashit. Thank you, CRI Council, as well as the ESG for having me here. I'd like to just introduce about vFlow Tech as well as the innovations that we have. Just a high level, vFlow Tech actually is a spin-off on NTU, Nanyang Technology University. The co-founder actually spent about 7-8 years in the research innovations of energy storage, typically focusing on vanadium flow battery. And we have innovations that have a couple of patents, and across the region, we have commercialized since 2018. And today we are gaining a lot of attractions across, not just in Singapore, but across various regions across to the Europe as well. So let me just begin what typically energy storage is all about. So there's no denial that renewable energy is going to be the new energy source in today's. But however, there will be a destruction of renewable energy if there is no reliable energy storage. So there's an urgent need today for long duration energy storage to drive and unlock the full potential of renewable. So to begin, we probably just introduce to you the various form technology know-how in the market. By and large, you may have understood coming from bottom of the table, super capacity, lithium ion, and traditional lead acid battery in the early 90s. And today, you will see a lot of lithium battery leading by the pack, typically because of the automotive drivers. And I would like to introduce what is flow battery. Flow battery is something, a very large storage. What I always like to call it is a pump hydro storage in a box. So there is a phenomenon like lithium ion, lead acid, which is a very popular applications in terms of laptops, in terms of cell phone. But typically, you experience that such kind of storage or battery will not have a long discharge. For example, if you have a talk time of 2 hours continuously, you will feel that theoretically you will experience the heat, and eventually, after 1 or 2 years, your battery lifespan will drop from 100%, but typically to 60% or even less. That will prompt you to change. So lead acid and lithium are typically for short duration storage. And today, redox flow battery, typically we focus on vanadium, allows you to have a longer discharge, meaning to say with a extreme power range from a few kilowatts to a mega utility scales of gigawatt at the span of very long hours of a backup to be 4 hours, 8 hours a day, or even 24 hours. So that actually adhere to the common issue, what we call it thermal runaway for the lithium ions and lead acid battery storage has experienced. So just to give you a big insight of the key benefit of vanadium redox flow battery, which we have innovated for many years. So we actually redox flow battery we actually use to operate based on the chemical reactions. So we have vanadium in focus, whereby you can actually stay in four stable state: V4, V5, and V2, V3. So we have a positive 10, which is V4 and V5 vanadium, and a negative 10, which is V2 and V3. So the power stack is where the power generated. So it's a porous carbon material whereby the exchange, when the battery stack is being charged out, the vanadium will change state from a positive V4 to V5, vice versa from a negative state battery V2 to V3. So while it discharges, the reverse action happens. So this continued cycle can deliver more than 10,000, which is equivalent to a lifespan of over 25 years. So if you look at other form of solid battery, eventually less than 5,000 cycle, or typically 5 years or less, you will start to degrade. And vanadium is a metal or a compound that does not degrade. So it's a very safe to use, and it's not combustible. It's inflammable, so you can actually place it in any other combustible environment, even a very typical high temperature. And more important thing is also it has a very high residue value. In other words, to say it's 100% recyclable. In fact, vanadium flow batteries is one type that you can actually recycle from every piece of the battery inside. Right, just to give you a little bit on the market space where vanadium flow battery, there's a couple of innovations going on in the market. So, but leading by the pack, a lot of the leading players such as BRB Energy from China, Sumitomo Electric from Japan, Infinity from UK, and VFlow is the only one innovative company that is from Singapore, serving Southeast Asia very pretty much. And we have other technology like zinc bromide, which have a high density, but the lifespan is just about 10 years or so. We also have an ESS INC, which is backed by Bill Gates Foundation, thinking that iron is the most cheapest metal in the world, but it has not been able to do large scale. So apart from that, you can combine all these vanadium flow battery. We have over 100, or rather say over a gigawatt hours of deployment installed against 100 of gigawatts potentials of solar renewable. So a lot of vanadium flow battery or other flow battery experience the same common issues because we use vanadium all in liquid form. So we require two pumps or rather the pump. So we experience something like so-called parasitic loss, the shunt current, the pump loss, and pole flow. So we also have a phenomenon of output efficiency. Many of our competitors have less than 60 or rather 65% around that range. And V5 vanadium compound typically will precipitate when they reach operation temperature of more than 40 degrees. And it has been all the while not been taking off as compared to lithium ion in the last decade, mainly because of the low density and also the chemical issues. So all these we have gone through over close to 8 years of innovations, and we have came up with our innovation technology whereby we built a stack very close to a cell field, a very high power, high density, which also equate to reduce the pressure, which relatively reduce the reduction to usage of the power of the pump. So a competitor that use 250 watt of pump will use 10% that is only 25 watt. But that actually drastically reductions of the parasitic losses. And as well as the same time in our research over the years, we have a novel chemistry that actually increase the thermal window from -5 degrees to up to 60 degrees. And with that kind of capability, we have deployed our battery into geography like hot weather temperature in Western Australia, earthquake prominent in Japan as well as South Africa kind of geography, and it's working perfectly fine. And we also inculcate our proprietary IoT in our BMS and EMS. And in this case, the BMS is battery management system, not the building management system, as per claim from the other speaker. Right. So to just move on, so vFlow actually stand across because we build, design, innovate in Singapore with our know-how. We actually able to compete in terms of a cost, instant availability, and we have actually 10% higher to any of the competitors. And we have continued research on our power stack to increase the density, the power density. And with thermal window that extending, we actually provide a very conducive environment in terms of hot weather versus cold weather deployment as well. So over the years of the last 2.5 years, so we have gained a lot of traction. So we are streamlined to particularly 3 systems. Not just like this. We have built 30 kilowatt system, 5 kilowatt, typically serve to the tower sector. That many remote towers are solarized, as well as home application, fish farm, rural areas. As one of the speakers just mentioned, we serve as a long duration backup. And the intermittency of the sun. Today, you have only 4 or 5 hours in this region, and not all the time these 4 or 5 hours are serving the load. The load could be in the off peak, and battery system allow you to shift your load to the off peak. So we have also 100 kilowatt hour, 10 hours backup for rooftop buildings, and today we are talking a lot about clean tech, rooftop and energy saving. And this typically deployment of rooftop exponentially growth will actually inculcate the ESS as part of their overall energy transition and reduction. So we also build larger one like for grid balancing, frequency regulations, and other applications for utility scale. So just to zoom down, particularly to building management and how can we inculcate in terms of solving the building challenges. So we have placed our battery in a clean tech one, which is part of JTC Group in Singapore, which owns quite a lot of office building. With a solarized rooftop, we actually power or rather charge the battery and serve the common load during off-peak, as well as the car parks with EV charging station. So this was actually a demonstration project that was highly recognized by Temasek in Singapore, and we was highly showcased in some way that it's the only battery that we serve that built that can place inside the building just next to the genset because of the inflammable properties. So we also inculcate our built-in EMS system, fully cloud-based, and it's a platform that allows all the user or building management user or even the technical servicing technicians who are able to actually log in and deal with the battery health, troubleshooting, understanding the nature of the charging curve, and understanding where is the load state charge as well as the consumption of peak load. So in this scenario where we have a built-in EMS, any excess or peak load, the EMS will turn on the battery to serve the load without stressing the grid or without compromise with any region that has a maximum demand kind of penalties. So this EMS is built in-house that we actually offer it for free for any of the ESS system that come from us. Right, just a showcase about why I want to show this classic example is that in Japan, we actually acquire our battery system, which the same thing, they actually solarize the rooftop. In this example is that I want to demonstrate that full battery is a battery system whereby you can decouple your power and energy separately, and you can scale individual or modular. In this scenario whereby they require 25 kilowatt load and backup for 250 kilowatt hour. So the energy, it comes from the vanadium electrolyte. So today you back up for 2 hours. Tomorrow you want to back up for 4 hours. You can just add the vanadium electrolyte. Same thing goes to the power stack. So today you have a load of 125 kilowatt. Tomorrow you have 500. Supposing you can just increase the power stack to serve your load. So this radically is different from any other form that is very, very flexible to deploy. So we have a kind of a utility grid deployment in island Singapore. This is a well-known Dutch company that own a lot of energy tanks. So we have deployed in a very hot sun in one of the Singapore islands, called Separu Island. we deployed the solar farm under the hot sun with our battery test bed. And in this test bed, we have proven that the suitability of very long durations at operation temperature of more than 40 degrees without any issue. So we are moving on to use 2 of these tanks to store the electrolyte, and with our power stack configured in a 40-foot container that will serve or provide 2 megawatt full-scale power. So they are trying to scale for this year, and by 2023, we are going to provide something like 20 hours with a full tank of electrolyte. So let's say I was just saying, today you want to back out just for a 2 megawatt hour. So we're using 600 cubic tank of their existing tank to fill the electrolyte. Tomorrow they want to fill the whole tank will give you 20 megawatt hour. And 50 of this kind of deployment in the island will actually provide a total 1 gigawatt hour, which can power the whole island as an off-grid total. So another classic user case is that we also deploy in a home, and this is a Nippo rural electrifications that we have reasoned down. Today we actually developed a hybrid source together with solar and wind power as a source of generation, using our battery to retire the existing high maintenance OPEC diesel generator. And today we are serving this platform for 50 villages that will be increasing by about slowly to 200 and eventually to the 1,000 household across the hilly high mountain areas. And part of this project was actually funded by ADB, and it's an ongoing process. And there's another application, probably you understood that with the evolutions of EV charging taking place, there will be bound to the point that by EV charging, installing EV charging station. And if you're going to solarize the kiosk roof with solar panel, and the only inflammable battery storage that you can actually apply is none other than vanadium flow battery, which can actually sit side by side in any of the kiosks because of the inflammability kind of properties, as well as the long discharge. So you can actually charge out, and you understand the EV load is not constant. It could be coming from the night, coming from the day, anytime. So we also developed a project, or we won a project with a study innovation with a Korean university that demonstrate that we convert the petrol kiosk into EV chargers using the underground tank to store electrolyte. They take out the footprint, become very small. Korean application, there is a lot of wind turbine and solar farm, whereby they always had a lot of losses due to clipping, because the mandate is that they cannot fit into the grid. So we
Eric,
actually
1 minute, please.
Yeah. So we charge out the battery, and then we circulate and we build it inside, and then the uncharged electrolyte can circulate to the farm. So there's many other applications like what we're doing for car park using same thing. And we also have deployment in a total microgrid in an island called Pulau Ubin, together with total backup with 2 gensets. And eventually we want to retire the genset with 1 megawatt hour that power 24 hours. So we can see there's a lot of application, even like I just mentioned here, due to the time constraint. I will just go through like solarizing the remote towers. So we are back up with world-class advisors. We have people from NTUs and also have advisors from McKinsey and Phillips. So a few recognitions, just 1 or 2 slides more. We are continue to be recognized by Temasek as well as ESG. There's Enterprise Singapore, and trying to develop together with the German institute to develop further in our technology know-how in this power stack. Right, just a showcase highlight about the battery system. It's totally IP outdoor compliance that you can actually deploy whether in-house or out-house or outdoor environment, so to speak. So these are some of the market tractions. So we have gained a couple of collaborations. Today we also have signed MOU with TNG, is a miner of vanadium miners, to develop vanadium flow battery in Australia as well. Right, with that, I have completed, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much. Great presentation on the energy storage solutions. Of course, as we move on to the renewable energy, the storage solutions are going to be playing a major role. So I think it's a great product, something that the Indian industry would love to know about and love to partner with you. So with this, I think we've had 3 great presentations coming from Hari, from Matthew, and from Eric. We heard from them about the newer technologies that are evolving, whether it is metering solutions, whether it's artificial intelligence, or whether they are storage solutions. And all of them, as I said earlier at the start of the talk, that's what will be required for us to go into our next net zero world. So I think we've run out of time. It's already 4 minutes past the time. So I'm going to hand it over to Prateek and let him take forward from here. Would you like to question answers, or what would you like to do from here? So Prateek, over to you. From my side, I think that's it. So go for it. Please take it.
Thank you so much, Ashish sir, for chairing the session. Unfortunately, due to less time, we are not able to do the question answer session. But what I can do is, I'll mail you all the questions which we have received for you, and that way we can give the answer to the delegates who have asked the questions. So now I would like to thank all the speakers, I would like to thank all the speakers for this innovative session, and want to thank Justin and ESG on such short notice that you have arranged this. And thank you. We look forward to working with ESG for Net Zero Initiative and all the companies related to it. Also, I would like to extend a special thanks to Ms. Gargi Pawar from CII Singapore for this tremendous support offered in organizing this event. And now I would request all the delegates to also visit the virtual exhibition where many stalls are there highlighting latest, greenest, most innovative products and technologies. You can see there. You can talk to the virtual exhibition people. And thank you everyone for attending this session, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Thanks.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Hariharan.